Unconditional love is real love. It's the only kind of love that makes us happy. Unconditional is, I love my son. He pissed me off when he was young. I loved him. He taught me when I was young. I loved him. He left me and caused me pain when he left. I mean, it's not his choice, but, and I still love him. He's not even part of this world, and I love him. Life took my son. I hit my middle age crisis at 29 when I achieved everything they told me I was supposed to achieve and couldn't find happiness. For me, the challenge was I was so successful. I literally could print money on demand. I mean, there were times when my wife would say, can we change the car? And I would say, so what would you like? And she would say this, and I would say, okay, wait until Wednesday. And I would be on the stock market, trading for a few days and making money, right? I could make money on demand. And yet I poured that money on my life and I couldn't find happiness. I go back to my wonderful son, Ali, who was born a tiny little Zen monk. He knew those things instinctively. And even as a young child, age 8, I think, was when I started to discuss those things with him. He would listen there and ask me a couple of questions, clearly to entertain me. And then basically say, well done, Papa, this is amazing. You could have just asked me, okay? And then he would literally explain it to me from the heart. So how the heart feels it. I would get how the left brain sees it, and he would get how the heart feels it. But when we lost him, sadly, when he was 21, my intention shifted from spending the rest of my life in grief to actually writing what he taught me so that I can share it with the world. In 2011, but hey, Chief Business Officer of Google X, busy. And I kept delaying it until Ali basically came to visit us in Dubai, 2014, and he was diagnosed with a very simple appendix inflammation. And it's literally the simplest surgical operation not known to humankind. It's literally a 4 or 5 minute thing. But 5 mistakes happened, 5 in a row. Every one of them was preventable. Every one of them was fixable. But 5 in a row fixed wrong. And 4 hours later, Ali was gone. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to understand how it feels. Even today, 7 years later, losing a child is just the hardest thing ever. At least for me, it's the hardest thing ever. Like, if life had taken all my money and all what I've achieved and, made me homeless, it would have probably felt less painful than losing him. Our reaction was very, very unusual. Instead of trying to, fight with life, I simply said, okay, he's gone. There's nothing I can do to bring him back, but I can make his essence alive. I can keep his essence in this world. And his essence to me was what he taught me. He saved my life with what he taught me about happiness. And so I sat down to write. First time that I really write in English, as English is not my first language.
It's just remarkable in my mind that you can lose the most important thing to you, as you've described it in your life, your son, to human error, and still not fall into resentment or bitterness or...
What would it do?
Regret.
What would it do? I mean, of course. I mean, I took steps to make sure that things are corrected so that no one else gets hurt, right? But what would it do? I mean, I was very prominent at the time. When Ali died, I was Chief Business Officer of Google X, but I was still between Dubai and California. So I spent half of my time in Dubai. And it was after 7 years of being Vice President of Emerging Markets for Google. So I had opened half of Google's offices globally. I was very, well connected to the business leaders and government leaders in Dubai. And so when Ali died, we got a call from the top of the Ministry of Health saying, we heard what happened. I'm so sorry, Mo. Would you mind if we perform an autopsy on Ali's body to get to the bottom of this? So I looked at his mother sitting next to me, most wonderful woman on the planet, with her eyes teary, and I said, Nibel, would you mind if they do that? And she raised his head and said, would it bring Ali back? And that one sentence anchored us in the truth, okay? You see, the problem with grief is that the cycle of grief takes you 5 steps. The very last step is acceptance, okay? And that step of acceptance could take you 70 years sometimes. For us, the truth was glaringly obvious 4 hours later. There's nothing you can do to bring him back. This is it. And the finality of death is so corrective of all of our human illusions. This is it. He's not coming back. So what can you do now? And my brain started to attack me. My brain started to say, you should have, the one thought for the first few days was, you should have driven him to another hospital. You should have driven him. Until I said to my brain, like, okay, I wish I could go back and drive him to another hospital. I can't. So can you please bring me a thought I can act upon? Okay. And so I had a couple of days of silence, and then my wonderful daughter comes to me. They were very, very close. And she said, Papa, Ali had a dream a couple of weeks ago, and he called and told me about it. And I think it's very relevant. You need to know. And I said, what, baby? And she said, he dreamt he was everywhere and part of everyone. And that it felt so amazing that he didn't want to be back in his body. And when she told me, I still tear up thinking about it today. When she told me this, my blurry brain could only listen to, this is my master giving me my target. That's the only thing I heard. It's like, make me everywhere and part of everyone. That's what I heard. And at the time I was head of Google. I understood billions. I knew how to get a message to billions of people. So what did I do? I literally said out loud, consider it done. It's done. Okay? And I told you, when I wrote Solve for Happy, it was the most selfish thing you can ever do. I wanted the essence of my son to live on. And so I basically wrote it with the intention of, okay, I'm going to make him everywhere and part of everyone. I'm just going to spread this beautiful essence to 10 million people. And then, I don't know, 70 years later, through 6 degrees of separation, a tiny bit of him will be everywhere and part of everyone. That was my blurry brain. But maybe it was also life's way of saying, share something, do something useful. Enough building phones and building, faster engines, and, maybe the world needs something different. Maybe share something that actually is needed by humanity. Is it horrible that I actually managed to move on and not hit my head against the wall for 27 years? Does that say I don't love Ali? What are you talking about? I adore Ali. I cry about missing him still today, right? It's not that, there is nothing to prove in that. What I can prove is I love him so much that I actually dedicate my life to spreading his message. That's so much better than sitting there and saying, life hit me. I don't like life, right? Unconditional love is real love. Unconditional is, I love my son. He pissed me off when he was young. I loved him. He taught me when I was young. I loved him. He left me and caused me pain when he left. I mean, it's not his choice, but, and I still love him. He's not even part of this world, and I love him. There are no conditions for my love. There are no conditions for my love for butterflies. I love butterflies, even though there are none in this room. None of them is entertaining me. I just love butterflies. It's just a feeling that I don't understand. I can't explain with an equation, and it's always there. And it's the only kind of love that makes us happy. Understand that. All of the other kinds of love are anchored in conditions. Anchored in what? In expectations. And anything you anchor in expectations, sooner or later is going to change. If you love her because she's beautiful, sooner or later she's going to grow a little older and someone else will be more beautiful. What are you going to do then? If you love him because he's your business partner and making you a lot of money, what are you going to do when things go a little difficult? And the idea is, when you go to unconditional love, something amazing happens. Suddenly you're in control, because the joy of unconditional love is to give it. There are no conditions. You're not expecting anything to, conditional love is reciprocity. Hey, I'm going to love you for this, and in return, you're going to do this for me. And of course, the other side of it is the ego of love. It's like, I'm lovable. I'm going to create the conditions for you guys to love me. So look, I'm lovable. I'm well done, Mo. Right? You've created something amazing. You should be proud of yourself. None of that matters. All of that gets you, of course, romantic love is wonderful. And, the love of, partners in business. Yeah, beautiful, fun, wonderful. Huh? You want to get to the core of unshakable happiness that comes from your love. Learn to love beyond conditions. And if you can learn to love beyond conditions, promise you, the world will love you back without conditions.